So there's a lot of people talking on the internet. This is not to speak specifically about any one situation. And I know that my slice of the internet is very, very small. But I did want to add this piece when it comes to domestic violence. There's a lot of, it's very disheartening. Let me just start with this, to see a lot of the comments under a lot of these videos when it comes to domestic violence. There's a lot of conversation as far as like why women would even be in a situation like that, or why a woman wouldn't leave, or why she, there's all of these different conversations about what a woman should have done, or, why would she allow herself and I would never. Okay, so let's just be clear. I would like to shed a little light on something that, depending on your maturity level, depending on the space that you could allow yourself to be in, to like kind of process and really like pause and think about some things. First, let me just say that there's multiple kinds of abuse. And so this is one of those other Me Too kind of movements, like Me Too. I've experienced domestic violence as well. And so one thing that I struggled with for a very long time, because I thought that domestic violence was only throwing hands. I thought domestic violence was only when someone's beating you, and, I'm not going to get into all of the extras of that. But I thought that was the only type of domestic violence. And it took therapy. It took a lot of, I'll just say therapy. I'll just leave it there. But it took some different things for me. And I still don't really talk about it that much. I mean, once in a while I may share a video, share a post that kind of, brings awareness to domestic violence. It's not just about physical abuse. There's emotional abuse, there's spiritual abuse, there's physical abuse. But one thing that I really kind of want to highlight, that if there is physical abuse, a lot of times there's the other type of abuse too. Emotional, mental, sometimes spiritual, sometimes financial. So when you take an individual, because it's not just a woman thing, there are men who are being abused too. When you add all of those different pieces to it, a lot of times the victim has been so conditioned to believe that she can't do better, that she's not worthy of better, that she is crazy, that, everything that she's experiencing is her fault. And then there's another part that I want to add to this that I don't really hear a lot, like that it's not really being talked about. And that one piece is, there's this thing where people are like, seek help. You're not alone. You're not alone. But can I just offer up the idea that another reason why these women and men stay in abusive situations for as long as they should is because they feel alone. When they reach out to their family members, one, a lot of people are, what is that word? There's a word where a person is, they take up for their abuser. I forgot the term. There's a term for it, where even though they know that what they're experiencing is wrong, and even when they try to go to tell somebody to get help, a lot of times they get defensive and they start to make excuses for the abuser, because that's part of the conditioning. Then you have the family members or people that they know who is like, well, that's who you chose. That's who you chose. So, or a lot of things that people will hear is, oh, that's a man thing, or that's how men are, or, what did you do to provoke it? Or maybe you did something. Or you have those people who are in your circle, whether it's your family or your friends, that are afraid because they don't want to get involved. They don't want the abuser to come to their doorstep. It's this fear of, well, if I can't help you, because if I help you, then this individual may bring drama to my house. This individual could be dangerous. This individual. So I don't know about y'all, but it's triggering to me when I hear, oh, you're not alone. You're not alone. A lot of these people that are experiencing abuse don't seek help because they feel alone. Because the times that they have tried to seek help, they were either sent back to the individual, nobody wanted to help them. So it's like, it's this constant cycle it's a constant cycle of not being heard, not being seen. If a survivor or a person who is in the midst of the abuse is reaching out to somebody else to let them know that they are experiencing a certain level of abuse, there's a lot of another term that just escaped me. Victim blaming, where it's, oh, it can't be that bad. Or, I had someone tell me along my journey, when I reached out and was explaining the stuff that I was experiencing, and I was told, why are you acting like that? Like, this is your spouse. They've never hit you. Like, why are you acting like that? They've never hit you. And it's like, okay, obviously I'm afraid for a reason. Obviously I'm uncomfortable and I don't feel safe for a reason. And there was a time when I didn't even know how to express, and I didn't have the language to express what I was experiencing and what was actually happening. So if a person is coming to you and they're telling you that they don't feel safe, there's a reason why they're saying that. There's emotional safety, there's physical safety, there's all different types of things. There's triggers that come from a person's childhood that is connected with that current trauma that they're experiencing. There's so many, many different things that people are experiencing. And when you victim blame, it puts them in a space of where they don't feel supported, they feel alone, they don't know who to turn to, they don't know who to talk to. So then guess what? They stay in situations longer than they need to because they don't feel supported. So my prayer and my wish is that I don't even know how this is going to happen, but my prayer is that people would stop doing that. Like, it's okay to not understand something. It's okay for things to not make sense. And then when you have somebody who's an abuser, guess what? They're a very good liar. They're liars. And so it's so difficult put it this way. Can you imagine somebody who has been abused for a lot of time, a lot of years? It takes them a long time to really wrap their mind around what they're experiencing. So there's a part of me that's like, okay, I can understand how the person that's being brought in, like as the quote unquote help, like, somebody that's seeking help from somebody else, I can see how that person can be a little confused. And it's kind of like, well, shoot, like, well, dag, they seem like a nice person to me. Like, I wouldn't think that they would be like this or like that. I've never seen them act this way. Of course you haven't. Of course you haven't. That's the point. You're not going to see that. And it's so difficult because there's so many women who lie. There's so many men who lie. And it makes it very difficult to really understand what a person is going through. So I feel like I was kind of all over the place with this video. But if nothing else, what I want you to understand is that the victim does not always feel like they have somewhere to go. They don't feel like they have help. That is one reason why they stay in the situation too long. People that they do go to feel afraid and they're not sure that they can help them. Like, I remember reaching out to people trying to get help for certain things, and I couldn't get it because people don't want to be involved. And then when people commit suicide, when people stay in the relationship, when people, I'll just leave that there. When people are experiencing those things, it is because nobody wants to help them when they are asking for the help. And the other thing is, when you go to the victim to ask them how you can help, a lot of times they don't know. So it's horrible all the way around, because the victim doesn't know. Because if they knew, they wouldn't be in the situation that they're in, and they definitely wouldn't be in that situation for as long as they have been in that situation. So I guess the point of my video is more to, like, I don't know, because like it's difficult, because us as Christians, we claim to have discernment. We claim to have, you know, this spiritual eye and the spiritual understanding. But a lot of abusers are in church. A lot of abusers are using the word of God. And a lot of us Christians are missing it. A lot of people have come to us crying out for help, and we've sent them right back to the person that's abusing them. A lot of people in churches have had counseling. They've counseled their members, and they've counseled the victim back into the abused situation. Because it's like, oh, it's accountability. And, well, what have you done to make the situation better? Or what have you done to make the situation better? And so they spread the blame out amongst two people. But guess what? The person who's doing the abusing is already trying to condition the victim to believe that the reason why they're being abused is because something that they're not doing right. Every time a victim is trying to hold the abused person accountable, if they even feel like they can, at least try, they're called Jezebel. They're called controlling. They're called all of these different things, because they're fighting for their life, and they're trying to get to a place where they are looking for help. But the abuser is tearing them down. The people that they're going to is tearing them down. I just want us, I don't know. I don't even know what the solution is, because I'm not going to front. It is very hard to figure out who's telling the truth and who's not. And a lot of times, the person who's actually the one being the victim is the one who's left abandoned, and that people walk away from, and that say, well, I don't know who's telling the truth, so I'm just going to walk away and I'm not going to do anything. So I really wish that people would stop saying, you're not alone. You're not alone. Guess what? These victims, your actions are not showing them that they're not alone. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the victims that cannot get the help that they need because nobody wants to be involved. Nobody wants to be involved. So I know it's not easy. If you are experiencing abuse, it's not easy. I would say speak up anyway, but do it in a way that keeps you and your family safe. And it's kind of like a judgment call. Like, you really aren't going to know what the outcome is going to be until you do it. But that's why they have these hotlines that you can call. If your family is not helping you, I pray that you get enough courage that you, that God like gives you like little tools and little things that you can do along the way, and that you can actually start reaching out to these hotlines, and that God will send you the people that you need to help you to get to safety. Because unfortunately, it's not going to come through your family and your friends. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. So in making this video, I learned something about myself, that this is still a very difficult topic for me. Very difficult topic. It's a very difficult topic for me. And I just pray that God sends you, if you are experiencing domestic violence in any kind of way, I pray that God sends you, the universe, your ancestors, whatever it is that you believe, I pray that you are sent the way of escape that you need. And I'm so sorry to say that sometimes it's not going to come through your family and friends. I wish you all of the love. I wish you all of the peace. I wish you all of the clarity. I wish you all of the understanding that your heart, your spirit, and your mind can hold. And so let this be a virtual hug to you, that you are seen, that you are understood. And it's not going to be easy, but I pray that you are able to get out before it's too late.